Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Auf mein Kopf. Hinter via Deck, muss es die kleine Fahrt beim Top. Geht mir kein Sach nicht, die Tropfen von Regen auf.
Welcome to Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. I'm your host, Judy Gold. And this week we have part 2 of my interview with Elizabeth A. Davis, who is so fucking talented. It's just annoying. It's annoying how talented she is, but she's also lovely, so, you know, you'll enjoy the interview. As you listen to this, I am in Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. I do hope you enjoy it. Sit back, relax. I'm probably on the plane to Israel now while you're doing this, and that's where sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight, but it's enjoy the show. But I am in business class because I am gigantic. So I hope you enjoy. I really hope you enjoy. Here she is, Elizabeth A. Davis, with myself, Judy Gold. When you got nominated for a Tony for once, were you fucking like, can you take me to that morning?
Oh my gosh, another Claudette Burke. So I want to write a play about Claudette, but that's another story. So we lived in a brownstone. With the cheapest rent you can imagine, with a washer and a dryer. We lived
What was it? Did you have one floor of the brownstone?
We had a whole top floor of the brownstone.
So people don't, like, some people don't realize living in a brownstone, you either have a half a floor or the whole floor. And if you're a fucking oligarch, you have the whole building. Go ahead.
Brother and sister owned this building. Mm-hmm. And we were on the top. We rented $1,450 is what we paid when we moved in, with a washer and dryer. It was on Central, like 1 block from Central Park.
On the Upper West Side?
On the top of the park. So 111 and 1X.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So why would I be nominated for a Tony, Judy? So then I didn't stay. I mean, this is not a part of how this works for me. So wildest dreams, not even clocking, so I was asleep. I was dead asleep. I think the night before I'd gone to the Theater Forward Gala, and Jesse Mueller had performed, as well as Harry Connick Jr. I do remember that.
Wow.
So I was exhausted. And Claudette, who we had an incredible relationship with, a Caribbean woman who taught me so much, who we now no longer speak. She hates my guts, but that's another story.
Oh.
No, very sad. Very sad. But she came screaming up the steps. And I'd already had, like, I don't know how many missed calls. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It never entered your mind. Ever the night before you weren't secretly wishing nothing like that.
No, because I didn't know how the really worked. This was my first Broadway show. I'd been doing plays, and also we were such a tight ensemble. So I know now, like, look, when the committee wants a show to win, of course they throw more award nominations at the show. Mm-hmm. So I still struggle. With it because,
oh God, you have to let it go.
Okay, you
have to let that go. You earned it. Now, who was the first person you called after you found out you were nominated?
I'm sure it was Frank and Melody, because the only reason.
Okay, good.
The only reason is because they, did Pygmalion and cast me as Eliza, and
right. You go to the Tony Awards. Do you expect to win?
No.
So you had no expectations. Because again, you have your armor, and then, but secretly, are you like, I hope I win? Did you prepare a speech?
No, because I didn't consider myself a musical theater artist. I consider myself an actor who plays. So then suddenly I was being called in for shows where I'm like,
right. Afterwards, you said you were pigeonholed, but also, can I just say something about Jordan Richard? He is he's also a creative person, but he's also a news director, and he made a video of the night of the Tonys for your future offspring. How sweet is that?
He's endlessly thoughtful. And
you fucking lucked out.
I did.
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah. My gosh. I recently had a very painful health journey, Judy. I had a miscarriage recently.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I am too. It's, that's one piece of a whole year of
right
that I really don't have. I don't have it in me to talk about yet openly.
Right.
But we found that video right around the same time as we were walking through this, and what it did make me do is it made me so deeply thankful for my son, for Josiah.
Right, Josiah, yeah,
who was a wise king.
I bet.
He comes from the Jewish scriptures. So what is that? Yeah.
But it's so hard. I have a perspective on having children because I'm gay, and it wasn't easy. It was not easy. It was expensive, and it was very difficult.
You have two, right?
Yeah, but my ex had one. I adopted him. I had the second one, and she adopted him. So, miscarriage, which is the worst thing in the world, is the body saying this is not going to work out. But it's funny because you seem so vulnerable about that. You allow yourself to be vulnerable about that, but yet you're so against being vulnerable. But you said to me earlier, being in a relationship, it really kind of changes you and lets you focus on yourself. And I was waiting to say, having a child, multiply that by infinity. I mean, I'm a completely different person. And I'm so thankful I'm a completely different person. Right. I mean, walking through, previous history, that is a woman that I don't even recognize anymore because of the shed layers of just right. A walking heart now. I'm just a walking heart. But don't you think it's fed into your creativity? Because I'm just going to say something. Because people don't know that people do know you're a playwright, and that you also have the most incredible Instagram account that I was just kidding. Reveal Unseen. I want you. Do you do the photographs? Judy, that started. Wow. You know what I want? I want a grant to be able, because we had to stop doing these because I have this incredible team, my photographer, JD Urban. I have a costumer, Sumaku, Aaron. I was like, I want to be on this. Judy, listen, we got to get a grant because it is such let's talk about a labor of love. Nobody got paid and this is what it came to. It said, I get pigeonholed, right? It's like Hello. I got the wait, how do you make a pigeon noise? Okay. Try being a fucking 6'2" Jewish lesbian, okay? Thank you. You come do Reveal Unseen, and we will give you 4 distinct looks. I want to do it so bad. And Anne looks amazing, Anne Nathan. Amazing. We went up to Hudson, New York, where JD, our photographer, lives. Right. And did you see the picture of her laying on the ground? Yes. And I was like, that's Anne. It's so fucking great. Everyone, please check this Instagram account out. It's called Reveal Unseen. I was like, I couldn't stop looking at the photos. I'm so thankful and appreciative that you brought that up because we have put a lot of this on hold just because of money. But I would love to get a grant for women in the theater. And hello. So my hope that we can do not only actors, but maybe a director, right. No, it should be women, period, exactly. Because we are being assaulted. But anyway, our rights are. Yeah. So you go to the Tonys, you don't win. Do you get a pit in your stomach? Like when they don't announce your name?
I felt, I guess this is weird. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. Maybe it's like knowing my skill set.
Right.
I felt relief because I thought I am not ready to be
outed as that. Yes.
And that's another. So when I began writing and bringing, now I'm ready in any category. I'm like actor, writer, musical theater. I don't care. I'm ready.
Right. So you get nominated for a Tony for once, and then you quit once to go do off-Broadway Brecht. Okay. To do, for no money, to do an off-Broadway play, straight play. And your husband, Jordan Richard,
gonna freak out. He loves you.
I love him. He is uber supportive. It's like, honey, and I heard him say, the money was great, but you gotta be happy, I mean, that is fucking the supportiveness. You are so fucking lucky.
I am.
Because you have Jordan Richard. So you go and do this, and did you have any regrets like, oh my God, I could be making a shitload of money right now? Or were you just like...
I did fall into a deep, dark depression.
You did?
But I was also, I left for multiple reasons. I had been in the Broadway show for a year. I knew that this was not the identity that I could live under. So
right. I hear you. And you started writing. It made you start writing.
I returned to what I knew, and then I started writing, and then I did plays, and then I also started doing other musicals again. And I now feel that I have come full circle in such a way that I'm stepping into this musical theater role. I'm also
right at 1776, which is opening on Broadway, which I can't wait to talk to you about but before we talk about 1776, you had an interesting COVID experience. So Jordan Richard is he was hired. He's a well-known news producer. Worked for Lester Holt, but he does other creative. He plays bass in a band.
Also, can I say one short thing? We made when we had our first miscarriage, we went to Italy and we shot a short film called For You. And if there are any folks out there that have walked through this particular road, it's on YouTube. It's called For You. We've been able to get into festivals, etc.
Right. That's great. For You.
Yeah.
So it's so funny how every experience of yours is processed through art. Every experience, it's beautiful.
I don't know how else. I mean, I'm a one-trick pony.
I'm the same way with the jokes. It's like it's all processed into comedy. It's a coping mechanism. So, and it's a weapon. I also believe art is a weapon. But so he works at NBC. Yes. With Lester Holt. Lester basically says to the people, this is when COVID hits. Right. And the city is completely shut down. And Lester's like, this is the story of our time. This is for you, for the people, for us, it was 9/11. That was the story of our generation. This is the story of your generation. And Jordan Richard made this, very difficult decision. He was hired as a designated survivor for NBC News. And you and Josiah went back to Channing, Texas with Melody and Frank. Yeah. And you lived apart. Did he live at 30 Rock? I mean, I know that at times they were in a studio, but then they were also working from home. But, here's a guy who's so used to doing his job and then coming home to his wife and his son. And he is reporting on it must have taken such a toll on him psychologically because he was so embedded in this tragedy and he had no support system.
I think everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Scenario, but for Jordan, he's so well the way he's wired is to just roll with it. It's what makes him so good in the breaking newsroom. Like he's
Right.
calm and chill. But there were ways in which I've noticed things coming out for him that I hadn't. There were things that were coming forward that it's like, babe, that this is affecting you. And like, how could it not affect you? But
of course.
I'm so used to him being able to be like,
to be the steady cam. Hey now, come on.
Do you do jokes for a living?
I know. Yes.
So it was deeply difficult, just like it was for everyone. And I felt quite guilty that, he was on the subway, Judy.
I know. I couldn't. He was on the subway during COVID. And
March 2020, March, April, May, on the subway. He couldn't even get a cab because there were no cabs.
There were no cabs, yeah.
So that the people of New York could know what was going on. And I'm so...
He did it for the greater good, but, I also think what a gift that Josiah got to spend, quality time in Channing, with Melody and Frank.
Irreplaceable. Unreplaceable? What's the word?
Irreplaceable.
Thank you.
Unreplaceable? Now you're making me question myself. God damn it. But I think it's irreplaceable. But I mean, Josiah would have had that opportunity.
It was an extraordinary gift. He picked up the hoe, can I tell you?
Hey.
Gardening tools, like Frank and Melody, like he just became the rancher that I knew he always wanted to be.
That's your next play. Josiah likes hoes. Go ahead.
I'll start it tomorrow. But I've written a musical and a play that are set in Channing. And
it's the perfect place for a play.
For kitchen sink drama, you can't.
Yes.
A better location. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
You have also said fame, no. Work, yes.
How old was I when I said that? I was young and stupid. Just kidding.
Do you still feel that way or no?
I do. I don't want to be famous if there's nothing behind it.
Right. That is exactly right. That really hit me because
you are famous.
Oh, please. No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay, whatever you say. I don't think of myself as famous. I think I've been around a long time. I made decisions in my career that definitely had an effect on my career, which was, once my son was born, I came out of the closet in the mid-90s as a gay parent. And it definitely changed the trajectory, but I couldn't live with myself. And what kind of message is that to my kids? We don't talk about this. So I totally, when I heard you talk about fame versus the work, I do get the most pleasure from doing the work, like getting up and writing and being creative and being proud. That was the thing. Like I've always been in therapy for so long, and it's always like, well, what do you want? And I said, I want to be respected by my peers.
Yes. I want to make things that leave an impression that can benefit. I want to offer work that makes people think differently.
And don't you want to do that more now because of Josiah? I mean, it makes it even, yeah.
Absolutely. I want, and as hard as it is being away, like he was on FaceTime last night. He literally, he's reaching his point. He's done being away from Mama. I'm done being away from him. I mean, I'm working as hard as I can to be there as often as I can.
Right.
And I always thought this as I was 35 when I had him. I cannot lose myself. For me to lose who I am.
Oh, no.
He must see a mama who is proud and passionate about what she does.
Okay. Can I tell you something as the mother of a 25-year-old and a 20-year-old? And I did the same thing. I had to travel. I had to be away. They don't remember. They don't remember. They don't. And what they do remember is that, that they're the priority, that, because I have an ex, and we're very different parenting styles. And, I see where I benefit, but, from just always letting them know that they come first, and they don't. I mean, you're going to love this, but when Henry was little and he was my older son, when he was at daycare.
I was just thinking, we have not had enough Bell lately.
I know. When he was Henry was at daycare, there were a lot of Jews at daycare, and it was run by a Jew. Okay. So, I would go away. I would have to go do Hollywood Squares and all this stuff. And, he would go and he would be sad. And so we wrote a book called When Mommy Goes Away. And my friend who's an artist illustrated it. And it was all about everything I do from the minute I leave the house to go to LA, to go to the hotel, and all the whole time it says what I'm doing and what I'm thinking about is him. I can't wait to get back so I can tell Henry, blah. And
where can I get this book?
You can't. I know it was like, it's in a note. It's like we hand wrote it, and he would bring it to school every day when I was gone. And I still I have it, it's fading, and I was like, oh, this should be a book. But then a publisher said, When Mommy Goes Away sounds like you're dead. So I can't. It was such a great coping thing for him.
Thank you for that. And again, using art, engaging his creativity alongside mom's creativity. That's really beautiful.
It was great. So anyway, I'm telling you, they don't remember. Okay. So, I mean, Henry does remember one time I was late to his fucking soccer game and he fucking keeps torturing me, but he's late to everything. So I don't care. Okay. So let's cut to, you're a mom, you're a wife, you are a woman's minister, Jordan Richard is a lay pastor. You're very into faith. You have a pit bull, and
very faithful pit bull.
I love dogs. And you have a new play, Childless, which is in development.
Yeah.
You wrote a short play, Home and Tropic.
Yep.
And of course, check out the Instagram, the reveal, unseen. But you are going to be starring as Thomas Jefferson in 1776 on Broadway. And again, your violin is your friend because Thomas Jefferson was a violinist. Mm-hmm. And so you're playing, it's a gender bending 1776. How's it go? How is it going? When does it open? I'm so excited.
Too. I was not sure what was going to happen. I thought it was just a little old show. This is a massive show. Thomas Jefferson did very proficiently play the violin. And it's the first time I've done a show with the violin. After once I did John Doyle's Allegro.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Forgot to mention that.
The musical I wrote was with acting musicians. There's other shows that I've done, including the violin. But this is the first piece I've done where it's historically written into the narrative. There's a song called He Plays the Violin in the show, which Betty Buckley, who I love.
Oh my God. I saw your Instagram with, I love Betty Buckley so much.
Okay. I can't say everything now. Just know I personally get to have a big announcement soon that involves Betty Buckley. All right. Anyway, blah, blah.
Oh my God. Can you tell her to do my podcast?
Are you kidding?
I fucking love her. And what about, did you ever say 8 is enough to fill our lives with love?
I have not, but let me tell you, Betty.
Oh, God damn it.
Listening, I can say this. Recently, I had a dinner with Betty Buckley, John Doyle, and myself.
Jealous.
Hearing them, I just sat there like with my mouth open.
Right.
hearing them talk about theater history together, as if it was, just trippingly off the tongue, was one of, at this point in my life, like one of the most amazing moments of
I love those nights. Right?
It was incredible. So we've been able to talk about that. And she's also a dyed-in-the-wool Texan who loves her horses. I think that you and Betty talking would also.
Oh my God, I love her. Now, I read that you, talking about work, and doing your due diligence, that you, the cast was privy to Harvard professors speaking about all the characters in the play.
Listen to this. Annette Gordon-Reed is an African-American woman from Texas. She won a Pulitzer for her scholarship on Jefferson, and particularly for uncovering a lot of scholarship about Sally Hemings.
Right.
And she was available to us via Zoom. I've had two moments. Let's see. Vanessa Redgrave came backstage for once. And the way that I felt this similar feeling when I was talking with Annette Gordon-Reed. I don't know how to explain it, but she just knows everything about the character I'm playing. She knows everything. And so her scholarship was, I've read a couple.
That's just amazing that you have that resource.
It's mind-blowing. And there's so many references in 1776 to Boston and so every night as we're saying this to these Bostonian audience,
Right.
It's almost like Diane Pellis knew what she was doing. She's incredible.
But you know what's amazing? It's amazing to me that an African-American would want to study Thomas Jefferson.
Obviously, her interest was in Sally Hemings, was in this dichotomy between.
Right.
But she also, you can tell, which is what I hope this production does. We are a very diverse cast, gender, race, etc. And there's some alchemy that's occurring, that we're being brought close to these white men from however long ago. And there is a fusion that's occurring. And it's pretty spectacular to feel. And just like the job of the actor is to put it, my job, I view my job is to say, put aside your perceptions, put aside what you know.
Right.
As a blank slate to this character, do not judge them. Do not decide to be curious enough to draw close and to learn something. And I think that everyone in the cast is willing to do that. And so I hope that people feel this commingling of real patriotism along with real conviction. And then what do we do with that as Americans right now in this pivotal moment?
Well, that's why it's so important. I mean, right now in our quote unquote democracy, I mean, the timing, I mean, it's like divine intervention.
I agree. And it's almost better now than it would have been when it was going to happen.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You got a little angel up there helping you out. I have to meet you in person. By the way, my luggage was stuck in Boston. I could have had you go pick it up the other day because I live in Provincetown most of, I would say half the year. I want to come see it.
Why don't you? If I could do, I would, I'm not going to say I would urinate myself.
Okay. You wouldn't, because you'd be like, oh my God, she needs to lose a little bit of weight. I'm kidding. Is it, and do Jordan Richard, Jordan Richard and Josiah, do they come visit, or do they drive? Do they take the train? It's not a bad drive.
Not bad. And also I've been getting like $90 one-way tickets on JetBlue.
They're the best. That's what I do. I do Cape Air, or we call it Cape Scare, from Provincetown to Boston, and then I do JetBlue. JetBlue.
So Josiah has his own room.
Oh, see, I did that with my kids. Like, I would go away for 6 weeks to do something, and they would come. It was fine. They're better for it.
But I've been going back and forth. They've come a few times. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know. This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and you know, sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, you know, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome. Okay, so Elizabeth A. Davis, I asked my podcast listeners, my podcast guests 2 questions.
Yes.
Always. Okay. Number 1, we are very pro mental health. I suffer from a lot of, you know, I'm an inbred Jew. So, anxiety, depression, ADD, you know, among other stuff. So what do you do for your mental health?
Thank you for asking. Jordan Richard will not mind me saying this. Both he and he lost a brother to suicide.
Oh my God, that's awful.
And I lost a close family member to suicide as well. We are very attuned to this issue. And you can also check this out. Jordan Richard did what was called 35 by 35. And so in honor of his brother and for Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, when he turned 35, he did 35 things he'd never done before. And in honor of his brother who was no longer alive. And first of all, to answer your question, we talk about it, which sounds so simple, but it hasn't always been that way. It's sometimes extraordinarily difficult to talk about things. As I earlier, there are some things that I've walked through recently that I'm just not ready to talk about yet. And I'm still processing them. And so I guess I would say that I've had 2 seasons of depression in my life, 2 real seasons. And I think I'm an Enneagram 4, Judy. And anyway, so I think the wiring that I have comes up against depression whenever I realize that I have miscalculated, that I have made a miscalculation that now will have repercussions that I'm now going to have to deal with. And the realization of that journey of walking through whatever that repercussion may be is the thing that usually depresses me.
That's interesting. That's so interesting because I never thought of it that way, but the miscalculations are I hate this word, but they are the biggest triggers for me too.
Because I try to be so cautious.
Right.
I don't know if cautious is the word, but I try to constantly big picture things.
You have armor. You have a toolbox that you go to.
Right. I'm trying ever so incrementally to replace the tools that are helpful.
Right.
to get rid of the tools that are just for bludgeoning rather than for preciseness.
Yes.
And so that tends to be, I guess I'm now seeing the pattern of what will really send me. And also I was recently told by a therapist counselor that depression is sometimes they're like, it doesn't look like you're depressed. You can be depressed and it doesn't look like it. So I'm now more aware of, I try to be more aware of asking.
That's so funny because, when I had a very bad clinical depression, and you knew, and I was so skinny. But anyway, but it's true. Until I had that clinical depression, that major, which literally took me years to recover from, I didn't commit suicide, thank God. But it gave me an understanding of why people do it. And that changed me. You understand so much more when people are like, oh, it's such a cop-out. Like, that pisses me the fuck off. Because, yes, it is, until you feel that, until you get to that place where you think everyone will be better off without you, don't judge. And so I always like to talk about, mental health. And talking is so important. And my therapist this week said, she really talked about focusing on, which is so hard for me because all I do is focus on what the next bad thing is going to be that happens to me. And she said, you don't have to do that. You can relax, you can enjoy, and it's like, I grew up in a household of just don't relax because something shitty's about to fucking happen, And that's how I've lived my life.
Yeah. You know what? I had my first actual panic attack about 3 months ago. First, I did not know what, in keeping with the I'm fine.
Yeah.
I deeply process. I tried to, but I can handle. And we were laying in bed. And we were talking about one of our neighbors, and I knew that I wasn't having a heart attack. I thought I didn't think I was having a heart attack, but my husband was like, Jordan was like frantically reading, like, okay, this is a heart attack. This is a panic attack. Okay.
Right.
But I was still, and then I started talking to friends and they're like, oh yeah. I had a friend who I never talked about this with. And she said, oh, it's like, I call it the horse hoof. Like a horse is standing on your.
Yes.
Like, oh, you too? Oh, you have the horse hoof? So I ended up taking myself to the emergency room just because the horse hoof did not go away for like 3 days.
Right.
And I was like, my chest was physically sore.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, maybe. Anyway.
Oh my God. I am so empathetic that I'm like,
you're feeling,
yes, I feel it. It's so bad. Okay. All right. So I have these days where I wake up because I have diurnal depression. I've said this a million times on the show. I have it during the day when the sun goes down. I have a little bit of a sense of relief. So,
say the first word,
diurnal. And then there's nocturnal, like William Stryon had nocturnal, which is at night they would get melancholy. But anyway, and I wake up and I'll know. I'm like, up. And I have been through so much therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the best. I have a list of people I will text, and I want to be on your text thing, and I'm going to text you. And I just say bad day. And that's all I say, having a bad day today. And it just hearing from someone who knows how that fucking feels is so helpful.
When you text, when you say bad day, how does it manifest? How does it physically, is there a physical activity you do that can lighten? Is there
well, I have to do physical activity, period. I have to I have to either go for a walk or exercise or force myself to exercise, play the piano or put on some sort of music that will take me away, something like an orchestral piece, something. Yeah, I have these coping mechanisms. And also the cognitive behavioral therapy helps me identify this is temporary. This is fear. It's not real, like you do all that. But I feel like when I literally reach out to someone who knows exactly what it feels like, it's like a fucking 500 pounds lifted off like I went here, and yeah.
That's life. That is,
Yep.
we must have those people, community, your church community, your synagogue community, whatever that. Ann and I talk about this, her synagogue, her family synagogue,
Right.
my church community, people that are like-minded that can say, I love you. You're going to be okay. That, bad day, like you are not alone. Just that.
Right.
It's essential.
Because it's so temporary. It's temporary. And you just want someone to say it's temporary. And you don't want it to be, your mother or your whatever. Put someone who hasn't dealt with it. But my mother was lovely. I mean, God rest her soul. But when I was depressed, she literally would call me every day and say, "Are you better? Are you better today? Are you better? Are you better?" And it was just like, but it was so funny because it was her way of dealing with it, All right, here's question number 2. Okay. Now, I call the podcast Kill Me Now because I really get annoyed. Like, I can't even tell you. Everything bothers me. Like, I say kill me now all the time because I can't fucking take people. Yeah. I want to know what pisses you off more than anything and makes you fucking mad crazy. It could be anything.
Oh, gosh.
I'll give you one.
Give me one.
I was at the fucking Provincetown airport for Cape Air, and this gate agent and I know everyone at that fucking airport. For years, I've been flying out of there for 30 fucking years. And this new woman, because everything is bureaucracy. I mean, I know everyone, but she's new. So you have to give your weight. And because it's a 9-seater plane. Yeah. And I'm gigantic and I have a fake name. So we're standing there after I had a bad experience with this woman. And I always ask for this one seat that's by the door that has legroom. And because I can't really maneuver inside this tiny little plane. And so the woman, this new gate agent, we're waiting. There's 8 passengers. And she points to me and this guy. And she says, "You're in seat 2, you too." And I said, and I always say this because I know everyone at the airport, I don't think I can even get to seat 2 because I'm so big and my knee. And she's like, "You weigh the most and the weight of the plane, the weight needs to be in the front of the plane." And I was like, I go, "You're fat shaming me now?" I mean, I don't look fat because I'm gigantic, I'm tall, but can you fucking believe it? So today I am calling the station manager and that woman is getting in so much fucking trouble and she lost my luggage. Okay. So that's my kill me now moment.
Gosh, kill me now too.
Right. So I hate when people can't think on their own and they, who the fuck says that? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Then I will, instead of going in a more morose direction, I'll say this. In movies, when someone is supposed to be playing an instrument in a movie, it's like you have a $5 million budget.
Right.
And that person is clearly not playing.
Right. Oh, I fucking hate that.
You couldn't hire somebody to actually play the instrument. This is a multi-million-dollar movie. That makes me insane.
Well, it's so fake, especially at the piano. And I'm like, no, that's not what's coming out of the piano.
That's not it. So you please just at least find an extra who actually plays. That drives me crazy. And this drives me crazy. I'm about to indict myself though, because I'm doing a Virginian accent right now that I know is not accurate. And I'm so angry at myself because I'm from Texas. It is a very specific, it's hard R's, it's the back of the throat. It's really specific. And you have to imagine that you're keeping dirt out of your mouth. Okay. That is different, obviously, than, other parts where there's a difference, or Louisiana where it's damned in. Just get the Southern accent right. There are many.
Oh, yes.
You see somebody doing a show, and I'm telling you, I'm doing it right now. I'm like, my Virginian accent is not dead on,
but it will get there.
It will get there, but it's driving me insane because it's a little broad stroke. It makes me crazy when people will broad stroke a Southern accent as if it's all like this. It's like.
Well, people do that with Jews. They just go, and it's like, fuck you, you fuck.
Correct. Please ding the bell.
Thank you.
I won't go in more morose directions.
Okay.
Specific things, those make me crazy.
I love those. First of all, I can't thank you enough for your time today and doing my podcast.
I'm telling you, I'm deeply honored.
Oh,
I'm dead serious.
Thank you, Elizabeth Ann. I really want to meet you in person. I want to meet Jordan Richard. I want to meet Josiah. What's the pit bull's name?
Orlando, middle name Arlecchino, based on an Italian Renaissance character who was only consumed with sex and food.
Nice.
Figured that's
a good name. And you got to explain that to Josiah too. But I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to see you on Broadway.
My word. We'll have a whole time.
Please. When are you back in New York?
July 25th.
Okay.
Like if you and Anne and myself, I would just. Oh, you know what? Chenoweth is like another very
love.
And Chenoweth is like a Southern Protestant girl. So it's like if the four of us,
let's do it.
We'll solve all the problems.
Okay, I'm in. And I want to be on your Instagram. Thank you, Elizabeth A. Davis. We love you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of Kill Me Now with Elizabeth A. Davis, the incredibly talented Broadway Tony-nominated star. Kill Me Now is produced by Laura Vogel. It is edited by Colin Schmaling. This podcast would not be possible without Brittany Jo Sowards, who does everything else. Please, if you haven't subscribed and left a review, fucking do it. Come on, people. I need it, baby. 5 stars. Get my book. Yes, I can say that. When They Come for the Comedians, We're All in Trouble, because you can read it at the beach. At the beach. If you go to the beach. So I just want to say I am really not happy with the country. It's not good. And I really can't stand these fucking guns. And I don't know what's happened to us, but it's like really depressing. So we got to fight. We got to fight, and we got to stop being like, the Democrats are very like, oh, we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. No, tough shit. Okay? Tough fucking shit. Okay? It's time to fight with fire. Fire! I also want to say that, I do get messages from people who listen to the end. So today's person who listens to the end, who I will be mentioning, I'm looking it up on my phone right now. Today's person is Ryan Martinez. I love you, Ryan Martinez, who is adorable and he tweeted part 1 with Elizabeth A. Banks, but it's Davis. But whatever. Let him think it's Elizabeth A. Banks. So good, and I always listen to the very end of every episode. I love you, Ryan Martinez. Let's see how cute he is. He's very cute. So thank you, Ryan. And for anyone else who's listening, I just, I don't know what to say because I'm so kind of, what's the word? Gutted by what's going on here. We have to vote. We fucking have to vote. And we can't let these people take over. But that seems to be what's happening. If you have an AR-15, I hope you shove it up your fucking ass. And, yeah, I don't know what else. I hope you have a wonderful week and that nothing horrible happens, but whatever. We know that in this country at this time, that's just not possible. So I wanted to leave you on a positive note. But thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. This is, as I've said before, a labor of love. And I appreciate the love and support. And as we always say, so long!